Hey everyone, Von Red One here, and today I'm doing a technical review of Oppenheimer in 70mm. This is not IMAX 70mm, just a 70mm print ran at a local movie theater in one of their best auditoriums. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. Just for clarity, this was at AMC Dine theaters in Orlando, Florida, the one in Disney Springs. It shows one of their biggest auditoriums and got the 70mm set up. I think it was the Perf 5 70mm, and I'm just going to go over the technical aspects of what I watched for the whole movie. It was a great movie. I'll do a slight review at the end, but yeah, let's get into it. The first thing I noticed with 70mm was that it provided a greater level of depth compared to normal digital projection. The clarity on objects that were actually in focus was very good, and the image was also very bright. It didn't have HDR-like blacks, but it did kind of have HDR-like brightness, which was very nice to see. And this is legitimate film. I had never seen 70mm, at least I can't remember the last time I've seen it run off of an actual film projector like that. I'm a younger person, so like even when I was a child, the movies I saw were on a digital projector of some kind. So here, I knew it was film immediately because there was a very slight instability with the whole picture, like a slight shaking, like it wasn't lined up and staying perfectly still. This wasn't a problem per se, it's just very noticeable because of how high res it is. And also the black lines at the top and bottom had a slight fuzziness to them going into the picture. So that was how I could tell, like, okay, this is definitely film. And you even see those few little imperfections pop up on a few frames where it looks like pop-in kinda. You can see that in a few shots as well, but it wasn't enough to where it was a problem, and it was still a very stable picture overall. I'll be honest, compared to normal digital theaters, this was night and day. Every time I see a new premium format for a movie, I end up hating the normal experience more and more. I grew up in going to this one theater that is just basic. It's a very basic theater. They have a big screen in the back for like their newest and most popular movies, but the other screens are just, they're just kind of there. Stuff like this makes me not want to go to those theaters anymore. I'm already in a spot where a movie needs to be in premium format for me to feel good enough to leave my house and actually go sit down somewhere else and watch it. I have a 4K HDR screen at home. If you're not able to at least compete with that on some regard, like obviously they'll have a better sound system than me because all I have is a sound bar and a woofer. But I need you to have something different, something better than what I can just watch at home for me to actually leave my home and go watch it. Stuff like this, along with Dolby and in certain IMAX situations, this will do it. Like 70mm, yeah, like that. I can see why this is so lauded and why the theater was sold out when I saw it. Like it was actually sold out. Like I actually looked at the show times again later and it just said, oh yeah, that's sold out now. Like dang, and that was the morning of. So yeah, people are crazy about their 70mm. Now I see why. It looks filmic, it looks classic. It looks like I was watching something almost from the period, but without all the imperfections. Like if you were to compare it to a movie from back in, say, the 70s, 80s, if you were to watch something like that, it looks kind of like that, but it obviously looks a lot better because it's 70mm versus whatever they were filming on back then. So it looks good, but it also looks classic. I see what they were going for with this. In my opinion, very well done. I think I'll still stick with Dolby and IMAX Laser because in my opinion, those were a bit better. What I'll say about 70mm that I didn't expect, it did provide a very different sense of depth than what I was expecting. It was kind of like how we've gone from tube TVs, CRTs, to now we have flat screens and like they say something was lost in translation as far as depth and color accuracy to some degree. It's similar to how digital projectors are now in 70mm that I saw last night. I can see what they're talking about. There's something about analog that digital has not been able to fully reproduce. While digital does a lot of things better, like stability and colors, and we have HDR now being a possibility, something about analog still provides a better sense of depth than anything digital has made. I don't know how they will be able to ever fix that issue on digital because now I'm seeing it. Even in Dolby, if I were to see this in Dolby, and I'm kind of considering it, I want to see it so I can do a comparison. If I were to see this in Dolby, I don't think the depth would be as good. And that's interesting to me. It's interesting how analog still has the edge in that way. So yeah, overall, the picture was great. I would recommend seeing this in 70mm if you're close to one. If not, you should still have a great experience seeing it in Dolby or IMAX with laser. If you're near an IMAX 70mm one, you're very lucky because they're very frequent. I would be multiple hours away from one. I was not going to drive that far just to see a movie. I can't do it, not yet. So, image quality, fantastic. I can see why people were hyped up for film. Kind of wish I saw Hateful Eight in 70mm now, but oh well. I'm sure there'll be more. Especially because of how successful this is probably going to be. This might spark another renaissance where they go back to classic film, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with variety. I want more high frame rate films. I'll also be okay with more 70mm films. The directors should just do what they want. We can live in the world with both. So yeah, I'm impressed with the image quality. Looked great. Yeah, I won't say I'm a believer now because I'd still probably prefer seeing something like this in Dolby on second viewing, but it looks great. I see the appeal. Good job, Christopher Nolan. Image quality was fantastic. I just wish I could have seen it in the IMAX 70mm because that probably would have been utterly breathtaking. Now let's go over the audio. This movie is loud. This is probably the loudest movie I can remember seeing in a very long time. I can't remember the last time a theater was this loud. And it's not just the explosions for certain things happening, it's the music, and like they have this type of stomping effect that goes on to show his anxiety and how fast his brain is going, because the film is kind of like a thriller. The audio is insane. Like, the audio quality sounds a bit muffled. It also sounds like it's from that time period, kinda. Has the older sound, timey sound, like if you've watched the movie from like the 70s or 80s. It's that kind of audio, which I wasn't expecting. I thought, well, it's modern day, the sound will be better, but maybe that's just how it is. And the sound is still good. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but like there's a type of, not crispiness, there's a type of, you could say rustiness or slight softness to the audio, to where it sounds like it's almost from that period. That might be intentional. I'd have to watch it in another format to know if that's intentional or not. But it sounds very well. I have to say the audio, the volume, oh my god. Like when the actual explosions and things happen, it is like actually eardrum shatteringly loud. Like I was actually jumping in my seat a bit. If a gunshot, there weren't any like guns per se in that movie that I can remember, at least, and there was a lot of stuff going on. There weren't any gunshots. If a gunshot went off in that movie, oh my god, the sound system would have just probably had a conniption. It got loud, and this was not the IMAX 70mm. This was a normal 70mm showing. I can only imagine how loud the IMAX version gets. Oh my god, you might actually need to bring eardrums possibly if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, because yeah, that was amazing. That was next level loudness. This is the loudest movie I have seen in a very long time. No other movie I can think of even comes close to this type of loudness. And I recently saw Transformers Rise of the Beast in IMAX, and I thought that got loud. This blew that out of the water. And I saw Transformers Rise of the Beast in IMAX with laser. So yeah, I don't know what. Nolan went crazy on the sound design for this one. This was a very loud film. So yeah, the audio and the video together definitely made this a memorable experience. Would I see this again in 70mm? Possibly. I think the movie is gonna stay playing for a while. I think Nolan got like guaranteed a 100-day theatrical window for the film. Who knows? Maybe if I talk myself into it and convince myself and a few other people, because I can't do that alone, maybe I'll do the multiple hour-long drive required to go see it at the nearest 70mm IMAX we have in Florida. But I don't think I'm going to do that. There's only one 70mm theater in Florida, I believe, which is crazy. We used to have two, but Regal Orlando Point lost theirs in a storm, and you know, they're bankrupt, right? They're going bankrupt right now. I kind of hope they do so someone else buys that theater, because they're just neglecting that screen they have. They have the perfect screen for 70mm, but they have a freaking xenon projector and no 70mm projector anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck. My hands are tied. I'm not going all the way to Fort Lauderdale just to watch a movie in 70mm. Can't do it. But who knows? If I convince enough people, maybe we can make a road trip out of it. I don't know. I got 100 days to find out if I want to do that. But overall, as for the film itself, I give it a strong 9. It's a 3-hour film, but it flies by. It does not feel like 3 hours. It's because of how fast-paced it is and how thriller-esque it is in fashion. It really, going thriller route was a perfect choice for this movie. It really shows you a perfect dive into the mind of Oppenheimer. The cast was also phenomenal. Everyone here was on their A game, top-notch performances all around. The only issue I have with this movie really is that the infamous quote that everybody kind of knows Oppenheimer for was not really fully in the film, and then the one scene where they said part of it was kind of unrelated to what he was quoting at the end. It was there. It's kind of like they just threw that in just because they knew they had to, but they didn't choose the best scene to use it. I don't know. That was the only real flaw I have with the film, and sometimes the sound mixing, the audio is sometimes very hard to hear just because, and that might have been intentional because there are scenes where they're like being swarmed by the press or multiple people. Maybe that was intentional, but if it was, I kind of hate that cop-out. Like, I'd like to be able to hear what they're saying. This is why I, by default, when I watch things at home, I turn on subtitles, because I kind of just know that, oh, the sound mixing will probably be terrible for this movie. Unfortunately, Oppenheimer is like that. Not the sound mixing as a whole, but the dialogue sound mixing. Once again here, even this film, not good. I wish the industry would do better with that. Turn the audio up for the cast and for the dialogue up to 11 while everything else stays lower, because I think we should be able to hear what characters are saying. The movie was great. I would definitely recommend seeing it. It is rated R, but I'll be honest, aside from 2 scenes and drops of the F-bomb, this didn't really need to be R. I kind of get why it is though, because this is a very serious topic. I mean, the world changed forever because of these people. So I kind of understand why it's R, but there's only like 2 scenes and drops of the F-bomb that make this what I would consider, yeah, this is something that should be rated R. Other than that though, it's a good film. Great. Fantastic. If you're fortunate enough to be near IMAX with 70mm, definitely go see it on that, because if you're near that, you might as well have the Hope Diamond. Just go ahead and go see it like that. A lot of us want to but can't, or aren't willing to drive the absurd distance to go see it that way. And if you do see it in that format, let me know what you think down in the comments section. Otherwise, if possible, see it in the largest screen possible. Just Dolby or IMAX with laser. Yeah, if I were to rank 70mm, I would put it somewhere between IMAX with laser and Dolby Cinema. It's along the same lines. I think I'm going to stick with Dolby Cinema for movies, if they have the option. But I understand the novelty now, and who knows, if it's a good movie, I might go see it in both. Because, yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to replicate 70mm at home. There's just no way. Even if we had CRTs that were like high-res like that, I still don't think you would be able to replicate it, because CRT at home is not even that accurate at comparing to like a film projector. So yeah, this 70mm print will kind of become lost media after the run is over, and I kind of hate that, but at the same time, maybe the Dolby version is also really good. But that's all I have to say about it. This was more of a technical review for what I saw. I'm not a cinema snob per se, but I'm a technology person. Like, if I see a movie in a premium format, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's how I would see it if possible. If a movie is not in premium formats, I'm probably gonna just wait till it's streaming on the site or on 4K Blu-ray. I'm sorry, but like it's 2023. If your big megaplex cannot outmatch my TV, why am I leaving my house to go give you money? So that's my idea for the whole theater thing. Sorry, directors that hear that and they're probably like bad, but that's just how it is. I got time for that. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. This is Von Red 1 signing out.